That's why bringing that conversation into the dynamic of this forum today, I felt it was kind of important for so many people. It might be a new, different type of engagement, but just keep your mind open in terms of what's happening. But for us, the platform is also primarily to drive trade with Africa. So one of the things we're going to quickly do, we've been here for 2 days now. I want to also thank those that have joined us from far and near, right? We were running on multiple time zones, but I really want to, as we're starting to close things down, I want to ground the conversation we're having with the next speaker. Masabata is stationed in South Africa. She's one of the people I like to call the future of Africa. One thing I also say privately is that many of us, our generation, may not have had the level of mentorship that we would have desired from the generations that went ahead of us. But I'm hoping that we do not repeat that for the generation coming behind us. I'm hoping that through the next story you're about to hear, that it challenges us, the speakers, the listeners. It challenges us to think closely about the youth of Africa, and it challenges us to see how we can use our own resources, knowledge to blow, again, wind in their sail and get them doing what they believe in. So that's going to be the next speaker. So Masabata, I want to welcome you to share your story in terms of, just tell us your story. Feel free, don't feel like you need to make it, super formal. I just want people to hear your story and the things you're trying to accomplish as a young lady in South Africa. Go ahead. Hi, Masabata, are you able to? Okay, you need to unmute.
Good day, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us and for tuning in. Thank you, Toyin, for this invite. I am truly honored to be one of the speakers of Trade with Africa, the 3rd edition. I've learned so much within the past few days. I've gained some new insights and new perspectives, and I am sure to implement them in the business, and I'm going to share them with my business partners moving forward. I'm also going to share the stuff I've learned with some of the entrepreneurs that I know, because I think I'm one of the lucky ones, to have been a part of this. Most entrepreneurs don't get, to be a part of these platforms. There isn't even platforms where we can meet as young entrepreneurs, with our mentors, just to share ideas. It's only when you have entrepreneurs within your circles that you'd say you guys get to meet every now and again. But I'm truly grateful for the Trade with Africa platform, and I hope that it brings on more youth, because we have quite a lot to learn from you. Now moving on to Sprout Africa. As Toyin said, my name is Masabata Sebusi, and I'm one of the founders and the directors of Sprout Africa. So Sprout Africa is a company that creates access to market for smallholder farmers. But apart from this, we also offer support services such as business and agricultural training. But that's not where we started. That is sort of where we are now. When Sprout started, it was just a project that was conceptualized to enter competition, and we needed something different. We needed something new, because most of the time we'd come up with projects that included tutoring learners in high school or recycling material, and we thought we want to win that year. So we had to come up with something different, something unique. And one of the requirements of the projects was that it had to meet the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. So when we sat around, we chose food security, renewable energy, and clean water. And we bounced around different names because we said we don't just want it to be a South African project, you know, and we said everything sprouts, everything sprouts. And we said it's Sprout Africa. And I remember how we loved it so much. But when we tackled the food security leg of the project, it wasn't what it is now. We just wanted to encourage, we worked with an orphanage. So we wanted to encourage communities around that orphanage to plant food in their backyards, and to assist the children that live there. And we saw that it would work because there was a local superstore that said they would buy their produce. And we thought these people would generate income and they'd be able to feed the orphanage, they'd be able to feed their families, and they'd have, you know, somewhat a consistent income at the end of the month. And that worked pretty well. We did really well at the competition. The judges loved our project. And afterwards, we said, now we're going to move on to the next chapter of our lives. We're going to graduate. And then last year, we said, no, the vision is bigger than us. Because some of the beneficiaries we worked with approached me and they said, hey, you introduced us to something completely different. We fell in love with it and then you left. Can you please come back? Can you please come work with us with this model? And I went back to fetch the ladies that I worked with in the project. And I spoke to them about Sprout and we came together. So last year, towards the end of the year, we registered Sprout Africa. We're only 9 months old as a company. And during the 9 months, we have refined our business model. We saw that it's not that people cannot farm. We target beneficiaries from the ages of 25 to 60. And we've noted that they have deep-rooted knowledge, you know, passed down from the one generation to the other. But the problem is being consistent with their produce because of the changes that are happening around the world, with the effects of climate change, with water issues that have been occurring, you know, with digitization coming on. That's also been quite a problem because they don't know how to use, you know, drip irrigation systems. They don't know how to use drones when farming. They are knowing to use tractors, you know, and harvesting things by themselves. So we came on board and we said, how about we address that issue? Business and financial literacy is also a big component and something that we focus on. We realize that you cannot give people money when they're not used to such receiving large amounts of money and expect them to use it wisely. Most of the time, these families would take, you know, the money that they'd earn from selling their produce and they'd spend maybe 80% of it on their families, and the 20% they would reinvest back into the business. And now we were expecting something completely different. We were expecting that they reinvest the 80% and spend only 20%, but we would have to teach them that because it's not something that they know. And that is what we pride ourselves in Sprout Africa. We're not just creating access to market for these farmers, but we're ensuring that their businesses remain stable long after our intervention. We know that even after we've left, you know, they're able to produce and they're able to supply at the quality standards that are required. And they know now what they need to do with the money, not just for the business, but also, you know, for them in their personal finances. We're building legacies and we're changing generational legacies. We're changing perspectives and mindsets, because that is how we're going to move forward, you know, and we're going to make sure that the informal agricultural economy actually grows. So we did some research and we saw that government had a few interventions similar to what we're doing, but they would only give cooperatives money and then they'd only come back a few years later. And that was a challenge because, again, they were giving people money with no direction whatsoever. And when they'd come back 3 years later, the farms were basically non-existent. The farmers would have given up on production. It would be something they're passionate of, but because there was no one to mentor or sort of guide and lead them through the process, it became really difficult. We also learned that access to market is not as easy as we say it is. our farmers were taught to be comfortable with supplying your local supermarkets, but they believe that, you know, reaching further, as further as your woolies or exporting was something that was way above their pay grade. So we also learned that you need a global gap certificate to supply, you know, the bigger companies and to even export. So we went back and we've decided that we're going to incorporate that into our training. We're going to make sure that as our farmers go through the training, they are global gap compliant, that after the training, they're able to access, you know, bigger markets, and they're also able to export their trade. One of the things I've learned throughout this journey is the power of collaboration. When we started off, we wanted to develop our own training content. We were ready to do things by ourselves, but we learned that everything is a process and we cannot do it alone. Yes, we are three ladies that are qualified in different departments and faculties, but that would not be enough to get us where we need to go. So we approached a few people. We approached a financial institution and we asked them to help us with the financial and business training, and they agreed. We also approached a trading academy in Johannesburg, and we asked them to train our farmers. What I love about their content is that it's 30% theory and 70% practical. And they teach you, you know, how to remain global gap compliant. So it's not just something we're throwing at our farmers and then, you know, we let them go. They're able to, you know, constantly remain in check and to make sure that they keep supplying at the standards that are required by the other companies. So the partner said he would be willing to offer us the training and our farmers the training at a discounted price. We've learned that networks are very important. We've learned that you need to put yourself out there and to be realistic and honest with what you're doing, because that's the only way people will help you. And that's what we've been doing through the past couple of months. We're also now looking for more partners that will come on board, because one of our co-ops, actually 14 of them in the Free State, are in Gwagwa. And from the beginning of the year, they've been having water struggles. They had a letter of intent, but they couldn't sell any of the stuff because their plantation died. And for most of them, that is how they are able to sustain their families. We've been looking for a solution to that problem. So I got really excited yesterday when I heard the lady from Morocco speaking about drip irrigation systems, because that's one of the solutions we've been looking into, especially for the farmers in Kwaku. We have also learned about the opportunities that COVID has presented. Yes, our travel was limited and we couldn't do as many site visits as we wanted, but this gave us a chance to look at employing more youth as regional coordinators around the different provinces where we have our farmers, to make sure that things are not at a standstill because we cannot physically be in that area. So we've built a model where we have the different directors and there are regional coordinators that serve under them. And these regional coordinators basically facilitate the relationships between the farmers, the local superstores, any other stores that we partnered with, and with us as well as the directors, to make sure that the farmer has everything that he needs, and that when we need to get in touch with the farmer or there's something wrong, things are not as difficult. Because farmers do not like admin, farmers do not like to be put on the spot. They just want to farm, and anything apart from that is too much work for them. So that took quite a lot of time to learn. We almost got impatient and we lost some farmers because of it, but we now know. And we're grateful for the journey because we learned that early. One other thing that we've been struggling with is funding. We approached government and municipalities, and most of them this year have been under administration in South Africa. That has been a shocker, but it's the reality we know. We've approached some private sector companies and we were really hopeful and things were coming well. But when COVID hit, we received responses that their funds had to be redirected to responding to COVID, you know, making sure that the companies stay afloat and that they're able to run up until everything was a bit more stable. So that's one thing we're also looking to get, because we need to cover the cost of training, as our training is not at no additional cost to our farmer. Then the recruitment process has also not been easy. You know, our municipalities say yes, they keep a database of farmers, but most of them are out of date. Farmers would have changed numbers. Some of them no longer live at those addresses, and some of them have completely given up on farming. So that made the process a bit difficult. You know, they'd have a list of 300 farmers that would be basically non-existent. You know, when we approach radio stations, people that are older do not listen to the stations we listen to. So that would have that has also been a challenge. And I think having the regional coordinators in the different provinces will also just, you know, mitigate that challenge and assist with that. But also, apart from that, I think we're looking to branch out and to go into different countries. And I'm truly grateful for this platform, because I believe that that is what it's going to do for us. We'll now be able to reach people in Ghana and people in Nigeria, because there would have been no boundary, and this is something we would not have been able to achieve, you know, had we not had this platform. I think I'll stop there.
Oh my goodness, I'm so proud, super proud of the work you're doing. And I wanted to feature the story just to ground everything we've been doing the last 2 days, is just making sure this message is clear. It's not enough to just hear about trade. It actually requires everything you just described, rolling up our sleeves and getting down to the work. If we want to create market access, we have to have frontline people ready to engage with the farmers. And I think the model you have is amazing. And I also wanted to give you this platform to be able to tell your story, and to also see whoever is on the platform that they might be able to offer. I see Komi is already reaching out to you with United Nations. So Komi, within your network, if there are, because you work at the highest levels with United Nations, right? So this is my plea, is if you have visibility to some funding and engagement at that level, please, if you could mentor, you know, just any type of mentorship, because what you're saying, you've laid a groundwork that I don't want to see it die. And I actually see it as something that has huge, immense potential. Just say, if you keep marching forward, if you keep having everything you need, what's it going to look like 10 years from now?
That just got exciting.
That's how I think. If we could get you into Ghana with the advisor to the president, to just say he's trying to do work with the youth, right? In Ghana, if we heard him right yesterday with agriculture, it says, is it one village, one dam?
Yeah.
What could your Sprout Africa look like in those villages with what you've done with you? So how many farmers do you have on your platform with you right now?
We have 14 co-ops that have about 5 people each. And then we have, in the other provinces, we have 3 farmers that we're working with.
Fantastic.
We're now recruiting more farmers right through until January. Our recruitment is going to start in October, and then January we're going to start the whole process, the learnership, putting you through the training, and then making sure that at the end of the training you get your business certificate, you get your global gap certificate, get your NQ level 3 agriculture certificate, and you have access to market.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so if we're to, you know, go into Ghana, we'd obviously look also into creating employment. Like I said, we don't want to be the ones that are running everything. It would be key and ideal for us to have regional coordinators, to have mentors for the farmers that they can report to, where they can all learn, and it's not just one person, you know, learning how to go about things. It's also about, you know, the issue of sustainability. It's not enough to just teach one farmer and expect them, you know, to pass everything on. So we would create employment for those in Ghana, and we'd also make sure, liaising with the different stakeholders that we might have that side, make sure that their farmers have access to market at the end of the program. So we would work with facilitating those agreements for them.
Okay. There's a question. There are a few questions for you. So let me quickly go to the first one. Brian Butler from the Joseph Business School International Trade Center here in Chicago suburb. I know him. Hi, Brian. He says, Masabata, what does global gap compliance mean?
So when you're global gap compliant, it basically means that your produce has been tested, but not the end result. It means that from the time you harvested or you fixed your soil was tested to make sure that it doesn't have glass, it doesn't have any plastic or material, and right through your planting season, you kept records. You kept proper records of your spray records, what you spray on your plants, making sure that it's organic, it's not going to be harmful to people. And towards the end, your product is also tested after harvesting to make sure, again, that it does not have any harmful particles. So that is what it basically means to be global gap compliant.
Fantastic. You just thought of something. Yay. Thank you so much. Okay. And then I think there's someone that might want to connect with you. Tamika Peoples saying that she runs an organization called Seed to Shirts, and they focus on smallholder farmers within their ecosystem. Great program. She would love to explore collaboration to see if there's something both of you can do together. And she said, thank you for presenting your program. She also says, how do we donate to support? She's asking, you need to reach out to her, but how do you envision expanding into other countries as we operate in Uganda and Burkina Faso, and they work directly with smallholder farmers. So expanding into these areas is their need, and they're open to expansion as well. So yeah, you have some fan base right there. Also see, okay, so there's someone as well that wants to connect with you. You absolutely connect with the person. Carly Rosenkrantz is a personal friend of my family. Thank you, Carly. She's, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do here. Just seeing your name on the screen just ruffled me a little bit, Carly. You're such an amazing person. But she says, Miss Sebusi, I would love to connect with you. We may be able to mentor each other and network. Carly is somebody you want to talk to. I won't say more than that. If I say you need to talk to her, you. She
Thank you so much.
is a connector, and she understands everything. I don't want to say too much because I don't know if she wants me to. But anyway, Carly, her name is spelled Carli. Connect with her, please. Thank you so much, Carly. I appreciate that. You're a gem. She said to you, you're still jam. No. There will be a day, Carly, when you're ready to tell your story. I want you to tell your story as well, but I know you're still working, you're still doing some things behind the scenes, so I want to respect that. But thank you, Carly, so much. Wow, this has been an honor. Do we have more questions for Masabata? Again, please remember, we wanted to make sure that this conversation does not stop today with what we're doing. That's why the community is there. Where, like I did yesterday with our questions, I also would move as much as I can, the open questions, I'll move it into the community for further engagement.